all the woke and the borderless and divisiveness are existential threat to the United States. So American nationalists will need Chinese nationalists to work together to defeat globalists. We don't need people like Kevin O'Leary getting on Fox News with the China hawk Maria Bartiromo to accuse China of being behind the protest against his data center in Utah, only to come back to retract the statement and apologize. Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and Xi Jinping are dictators. Says who? Say the globalists and transnational capital through the mouths of mainstream media and many mainstream politicians. They attack these three leaders because they are nationalists. The moment they realize Putin will not allow them to continue to loot Russian resources, they were determined to remove him. That's what Ukraine war is mostly about. Donald Trump has been elected president twice on the agenda of America First, which is a nationalist agenda with spotted success. And Chinese leader Xi Jinping is the one that will lead China to gain its independence from the United States of America, specifically the transnational capital originated from the United States. In the beginning of the Reform Open era, China was more than happy to have U.S.'s help to achieve its economic development goals. And as a result, China accomplished the kind of development unprecedented in human history. And American consumers get to enjoy the inexpensive Chinese goods. But the people who benefit the most is transnational capital. They are able to maximize their profit, tremendous profit, by capitalizing China's cheap labor, and the Chinese will funnel their proceeds from exports back to the Wall Street, which is part of the transnational capital. So the transnational capital make money on both ends. Now it comes to a point where China is no longer content with this low-end, cheap product kind of manufacturing. It needs to improve its value added and to move away from labor-intensive to capital and technology-intensive manufacturing. Transnational capital does not want to see that happen. They want to keep China in its place so they can continue to benefit the way they have. That's why Xi Jinping is working to achieve independence from the United States. He is directing the national energy to rejuvenation of the Chinese nation under the banner of Chinese Dream. His signature initiative is the Belt and Road Initiative, which is a massive global infrastructure development strategy to position China at the center of global trade networks. He's also pushing for Made in China 2025. It's a continuing project and industrial initiative to transition China from a low-cost manufacturer into a global leader of high-tech sectors like robotics and AI. Also adopted the wolf warrior diplomacy, which is a highly confrontational and nationalistic style of foreign policy adopted by Chinese diplomats to aggressively defend China's global image and to enhance China's international discourse power. So it's all about building China back. The resulting economy make China a serious competitor and challenger to the US. But that's good for the global economy. Competition is good for development. So it's not a threat to the US. It's a mutual development potential and to reach a higher level of living standard of everybody. Some may ask, what about China's building up its military in recent decades? China's military budget for 2026 is $281 billion, compared with US's nearly $1 trillion, and its proposed 2027 budget of $1.5 trillion. China's military is no threat to the US. Besides, China is playing catch up to make up for lost time for its military as well as for its economy. As the economy grows, the stakes are higher, so China needs to have a military to ensure its national security and national interests. Especially, China doesn't want the tragic history of century humiliation to repeat. With 7,000 years of genetic and cultural continuity, Chinese people are wired differently than the Westerners. And China, as a result, is an internally focused people. Chinese people don't concern themselves with geopolitical strategy. What keeps traditionally the monarch and contemporarily the Chinese Communist Party ruler, what keeps them up at night is not how to subdue another country, to change the regime, but how best to ensure domestic stability and safety to continue their rule of the nation. So that's no threat to the US by intent, by size at all. So China is ruled by nationalists, as US is led by a nationalist administration led by Donald Trump. Trump has recently proposed the idea of G2 for the US and China to cooperate on multiple fronts. When the time is ripe, it's a great idea because US will need China to fight and defeat the globalists and transnational capital. Because the transnational capital want war. They want endless war so that they can make more money. War is also a mechanism for control of the population, as well as to remove a nationalist leader, the obstacle for them to go in to explore the country. All the woke and the borderless and divisiveness are existential threats to the United States. So American nationalists will need Chinese nationalists to work together to defeat globalists. And between the respective countries, they will need a mechanism to build trust, to resolve conflicts peacefully. So with no war, pro-growth cooperation will lower the deficit for the US to strengthen the US dollar. And stronger dollar means stronger portfolio for everyday Americans' retirement savings. So we don't need people like Kevin O'Leary getting on Fox News with the China hawk Maria Bartiromo to accuse China of being behind the protest against his data center in Utah, only to come back to retract the statement and apologize under the pressure of a defamation suit. They may be anti-woke and conservative, yet they try to alienate the most important nationalist ally. So that's a cognitive dissonance and stupid. I'm Eric Mao from the Geopolitical Forum. I want to thank you for joining me today. This is a new channel, so please like, subscribe, and share. I also love to have your input and feedback in our comment section. I will see you next time.